public hearing. If anybody from the public wants to comment on anything in the budget, now's the time. And I'll wait a while. Yeah, you could, yeah. This is kind of refreshing. I like this. Somebody's actually gonna comment. This is great.
Well, I just had an idea that, you know, Vernon Hills has had a bit of a surplus, and it strikes me that the homeowners in Vernon Hills are very house rich and cash poor. I think on average, you know, with the current economy the way it is. And so a lot of us pay extremely high property taxes, you know, not to Vernon Hills, obviously, to the
Go ahead.
Lake County.
Yeah.
And so it occurred to me that maybe something that would help the citizens of Vernon Hills is if, you know, some portion of the excess revenue, such as it is, whatever it is, in Vernon Hills could go to the citizens of Vernon Hills, the homeowners, to help pay the property tax. And my thought was, you know, that we have a large sales tax revenue, and if some tiny portion of it, or maybe some additional increase in it, if that could go to the homeowners in need to help pay the property tax, that would be a good thing. I brought this up by phone a few months back, and Mike Allison was good enough to give me a call back, and he brought up some thoughts, you know, neutral, pro, con, and to me, when I was finished talking to him, I concluded that really this is a valid idea, and why don't we think about it?
Okay. Well, I mean, the bottom.
Without going into the pros and cons.
No. The bottom line, we can't.
You can't.
No, because we don't levy a tax in the first place. You don't. When you get your tax bill, you're not going to see Village of Vernon Hills municipal tax. We don't tax you for anything that goes on in town. In other words, you know, the police service, public works, building department, you know, the administrators that work here. We don't levy a municipal property tax. We've never levied one.
Correct.
Yeah, and so we can't just, you know, give money back to the residents, and it's state statute that controls state law, that we'd have to, like, impose a real estate tax in order to give back something. So we're not charging anybody anything now because of the sales tax base. So
But so you understand my point, though, that you know, it's just a way to.
well, I
I
appreciate your
yeah.
frustration. My bill
Yeah.
keeps going up every year too, but you know, 70% of it goes to the grammar school, high
Correct.
school. You know, monies go to the you know, Countryside Fire Protection District or Riverwoods, Lincolnshire, or the library, and so on and so forth. But we don't tax you as a municipality.
Right.
So
Right. In other words, I'm talking
what we
about
kinda run the
taking
town
a
at-
piece of the sales tax.
Yes.
And you know, it does seem like we live in a village of a lot of riches in a way. Our homes are rich. They've gone down in value, but they are.
Yeah.
We are house rich. A lot of us are cash poor, but also that we're kind of like village rich. It strikes me in the sense that, you know, we've been able to find the means to improve our park system to the point where we've got these riches in our park system, like all these things to do in the parks, exercise equipment on the walking trail and this sort of thing that I assume other villages can't afford. We've been able to do that. Why not, you know, cut the expenses on that and channel any leftover sales tax revenue?
Well, the only problem is that those are separate. We don't have a village recreation department. The park district is separate and succinct.
And they do impose a tax.
Yeah. So, but basically, one thing, you know, you might want to take into account, I mean, we've never gone, I think in the history of the villages, certainly since I've been on the board and hence mayor, and it applies to everybody sitting up here, we never went the referendum for anything we did in town. In other words, we've never gone like some communities unfortunately have gone to do capital improvements such as, you know, your street, your curb, your gutter, you know what I mean, the sidewalks. I mean, and, you know, we have been, you know, I guess in my opinion, but not my opinion, even Moody's opinion, you know, we've been fiscally responsible, and, you know, we have a surplus, but, you know, it's not like a king's ransom.
No,
you know?
it's not,
So-
but any
So
little
in
bit would
essence,
help.
well, yeah, and I wish I could help. We could say, yeah, you're point on, and we can take care of you, but we can't, because we don't tax you in the first place.
So what's the blockage? What's the?
We'd have-
the
We don't,
We'd have to tax.
yeah, I mean, it's state
I
law.
believe it's
I mean,
statutory.
Yeah, it's statutory. I'm just saying, we can't just give money back to the residents, and
They don't-
in essence, well, you wouldn't just give it to the residents, you'd give it to every,
Not just the property owners,
property,
it's to
well,
everybody.
you'd have to give it to everybody in
Everybody.
town, CDW and American Hotel, but we don't tax them, you know? All your money goes basically to the school districts, fire department, and the library, you know, and, you know, the county taxes, I mean, there's other taxes, but, I mean, when you get your bill out, it's a goose egg, you know?
What we do try to do is, where possible, give some of that money either in kind or actual cash to the schools and to the other, which we can legally do, you know, through intergovernmental agreements. And, I mean, we did that with the high school on a number of things over there.
Well, as far as loaning them money,
Well, loaning money and a couple of actual you
on
know,
the turf.
yeah, and
Time out right now.
in-kind things like allowing them to remove dirt from there and then put it onto village-owned land, which saved them a lot of money in terms of their you know, grading work and that.
Well,
So
maybe
we
there's-
tried to do as many of those as
Right,
possible.
maybe there is some way to alleviate the growing imbalance that's happening, because you've got the, you know, the middle class being wiped out essentially. That's what's going on. And the states are being wiped out, you know, for related reasons. And that hasn't happened to the small towns yet. And we're lucky because we've got a lot of retailers. That's my perception. Other reasons too, but this imbalance is going to just keep going and growing and growing, and we have to stop it somewhere. But while we're looking for ways to stop it, there could be some way to correct the imbalance locally and channel some money back to the.
I would say get more involved possibly in the park district and their budgeting, and the school district and their budgeting, what they're spending money on, and how can they lower our taxes.
You know, the monies
Yeah.
that we have is spent for the residents. By that, it's on our roads, our infrastructure, on our police departments, on our public work department, on our administrative staff. And if we give what we do have, even if we could, which we can't legally, but if we did, somewhere in the next few years, there's going to be a tax to make that money up, to do the same thing that we're doing today without having a tax.
I'm sorry, I guess I missed your point.
Well, the
Just-
bottom line is, we can't give you what we don't
okay.
collect.
Legally.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
We don't collect
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
from you, so we can't give anything back to you.
But we
So,
have-
we've shared through intergovernmental agreements with these other taxing bodies, which you would hope helps them at some point hold the line, you know, but I don't control their budgetary process, such as
Right.
District 73, or High School District 128, or 125, or 76, or, you know, what,
Park district.
103, we have, you know, I mean, we have like 4 separate elementary school districts and 3 high school districts that service town, you know, so, you know, that's where 75% of your money's going, so,
and we-
you know. Hopefully did you have children?
Yes,
Did they go through the public school system?
yes. not
Okay.
bad, right.
What high school did they go to?
Right now, she's in VHHS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guaranteed, well, you might live in Greg's Landing, but the bottom line is, do you live in Deer Path or Hawthorne? Where do you live?
Greg's Landing.
Okay. Yeah, well, you're probably paying a lot.
We're paying an
You
incredible
know,
amount,
I mean,
yeah, no.
and
Well,
I,
no,
you know.
in fact, yeah, we're,
You know
we
what I
figured
mean?
out we're paying,
I mean, you're
our
paying
friends in
more
Lake
than us
Forest,
at Deer Path.
yeah, we're paying.
And I'm
more.
with
Well,
you,
yeah,
because
well-
my
Yeah,
property
yeah,
is
okay.
north of
But
60.
I guess what I'm saying is that, your houses have a higher, equalize the assessed valuation. And, but when
Yes,
you
it
step
does.
away from the curb, I mean, it costs about 16 Gs a year to educate your daughter at Vernon Hills High School. So if you're paying that, you're clean, you could say, well, I paid for it, But with that said, I mean, how about all of us that have paid forever?
Right, right.
And my kids never went to the public high schools in town. They both graduated from Carmel High School. I was thrown down to the Carmelites,
Right, which
So
was-
nobody gave me a rebate,
Well,
So-
yeah, thanks a lot. I'm
Yeah,
done.
yeah, yeah.
I'm done, but actually though, let me make just one small more point, because you just brought up, my wife and I have concluded we've got to move out of Lake County when our daughter graduates.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you know what, I got empathy for you in that,
Yeah.
and I don't have a simple answer
Yeah,
for that,
right, right.
And, this town, the people up here and the staffs before them and boards before them, we were fiscally responsible enough never to have to go to you to get in your pocket like everybody else. So, I hope
Right,
you're not mad I hope you're not mad at us.
no, I'm not. I just
But I mean, I understand what you're
Right,
saying.
yeah, yeah.
And the retail has been great, but that's not our only source of revenue, and that kind of, maybe covers, it doesn't really totally cover even our operating costs per year, you know what I'm saying? So, anyway,
We have done some things where technically you don't, but we've ended up signing in for your electric company, for your bills,
yeah.
that actually do benefit all the people in the village. And I think it's to a tune, technically, in total, it costs the village, is it 200 and,
Oh, and taxes?
in
Yeah.
taxes, 250?
Well, you
or-
mean the reduction?
Yes, and the
that
reduction?
was saved in the aggregation. I'm trying to remember what
I
the
was
thought the
over-
electric bill was gonna be like,
It was
was
over
several hundred
200, but what
thousand,
we
right.
did is we end up pulling in a resource that would lower
your electric.
your electric bill, and that is passed on to you. So that's one benefit. And another, a loan to the Park District for the YMCA. It was a $2 million loan. We could have probably come back and ended up charging them interest. If we did, where does that go? It goes back into your not into your pocket, taken from your pocket, because they are financing it and they would be paying it. So it's an interest-free loan, which does benefit the village and the businesses.
Okay,
Yeah. Larry Nacker wants to say something. He might be lucid, much more lucid than us.
okay.
You can listen to him.
I just want to kind of correct what I see as a misimpression. Maybe it's coming from the relative optimism of things recovering. Our sales tax is back to where it was in 2007, but in the meantime, our roads are 6 years older, and, especially, thinking of Greg's Landing, we've been lucky with Greg's Landing because that was built in the 1980s, and we had in the 1990s, and we had relatively new roads. We're coming on some major anniversaries in terms of road lifespan, and, that's going to be an expense for this village that we've really never, of a scale we haven't had to face before. So, the idea that these balances are there because, for no reason, I think it's the prudent thing to do. I think a lot of people would be criticizing us if we didn't build up sufficient balances to face those challenges. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know there's a sense of optimism, but the optimism is really not that things are going great. It's that they're finally recovered from a very poor situation that we were in prior to that.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I can't resist, I feel your pain. That's an old line from an older president, or a retired president.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, I know that. It was a US president. Anyway. But he had a problem with a woman and I don't.
Thank you.
All right, okay, next is, yeah, we gotta close the budget hearing. All right, we gotta take a roll call on this?
You can
No.
adjourn it. Yeah, just adjourn it,
Mr. Jones.
Okay.
public
Pu-
hearing.
Public hearing's adjourned. All right, I'd like to call the village board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
President Byrne,
Here.
Trustee Schwartz,
Yeah.
Here?
Williams,
Here.
Hebda, Cook,
Here?
Markwart,
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any citizens that wish to address the board on anything other than what's gonna be on committee at all? If it's on committee at all, then you can address this then. No one? Okay. All right. Well, first order of business is, well, I'm gonna, we have a letter that, I assume everybody got this, because I think we were asked to all, sign
Yes,
it.
I think everybody signed it.
And this was to,
Right.
Elizabeth, Souter, whose, husband, Trooper Souter, passed away in a tragic, accident on the Illinois Tollway when his squad car was actually hit by a semi-trailer truck. Dear Mrs. Sauter, Elizabeth, who wrote this letter?
Mike.
I did.
Did you talk to the chief?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so they were collaborators, right?
Correct.
Okay.
If you give him credit, it's a collaborator.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I want to clarify that. Elizabeth, you are a neighbor. We, the mayor and village board of Vernon Hills, extend our most heartfelt condolences to you in this time of sorrow. So many wonderful stories have been told about Jim's dedication and his enthusiasm for not only his work with the state police, but also for friends, family, and his interests. Police Chief Mark Fleischauer related a story about a visit from Jim just a few weeks ago. Jim stopped at our police department to say hi and introduce himself as an officer with the state police who lived in Vernon Hills. He offered any assistance he could provide Vernon Hills if state police resources were needed. We think this is just one example of the person who Jim was to the many people he assisted in both his professional and personal life. Those dedicated in service to the public and particularly in public safety put their lives at risk to help others, and certainly Jim was the highest example of this service. Speaking for the village, Vernon Hills community, we want you to know that your neighbors are here for you. Sincerely, signed by myself, Trustee Hebda, Trustee Cook, Trustee Marquardt, Trustee Williams, Trustee Schwartz, and Trustee Schultz. So our condolences go out to you. Chief?
I concur.
Okay. All right. God rest his soul.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay. Village manager, Allison.
Thank you, Mayor. This item's on the consent agenda. It's the aggregation consultant contract for $5,000, and that ours is 1/7 of that, so it's about $700. But I bring it before you because it reaffirms our consortium, which is again just a reminder: Buffalo Grove, Palatine, Long Grove, Lincolnshire, Wheeling, Arlington Heights, and of course the village. And what I wanted to mention here was we're going to be going out again for pricing first negotiating with Integris, which is our incumbent provider. And I should say, a number of people in the office have talked to me, and I received a few phone calls also. There's a lot of confusion because companies are out soliciting again, and I'm sure you've received some phone calls at home for electric service. Now, we can't discourage, obviously, each residential customer can do whatever they want, and of course, small business, that's who's covered under these programs. However, your default provider, as they say, is Commonwealth Edison. So if you don't want to deal with anybody, including the provider that the village has secured, Integris, you can just stay with Commonwealth Edison. You can, of course, take on someone else. There's a number, a myriad of different companies that are suppliers. Again, what this consultant's contract is doing is we're going to start with negotiations with Integris for fees that will be in effect for your July reading, so during the summer. Unfortunately, we know they're going to go up some, as everybody's will, because of there's a set fee, and the way I understand it, not to get too involved in it because I don't understand it that well, but there's a consortium that puts together the supply, the maximum peak load that provides for the north central United States, and it really runs all the way from the East Coast through the Midwest. That number is going up. That applies to all providers, ComEd, Constellation Energy, Integris, on and on and on. Whoever supplies electricity will have to pay that. So that's a fee that's going to go up. You may have read, there was an article in the Tribune concerning Commonwealth Edison. Their rates are going down because the locked rate they had has been not renegotiated, but they're getting a lower rate effective this summer. That still is higher than the villages in our consortium's current rate, and that'll be true for most of these electric aggregation groups throughout the state of Illinois. So, and of course, we'll be monitoring that final rate. If we don't negotiate a price that we're comfortable with Integris, then we most likely will go out in a whole bid process again. So, which will require some time. So in other words, we're hitting the ground running, having our consultant go out, and he used to be director of the Illinois Power Authority, so he's very knowledgeable about electricity and both statewide as well as nationwide. So we'll be coming back to you probably sometime in late April, early May with a number, and then we'll see what that number looks like relative to today's number. But it definitely will be going up because of that, I guess for lack of a better term, that maximum peak load number that's assigned to all providers. So
But
that will impact.
in addition to that, what do we get from the Northwest Municipal Conference, or was it from the, what's Bennett?
Metropolitan
What
Mayor's
is Bennett?
Caucus.
What is Bennett?
Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus.
What is it?
Is
Metropolitan Mayor's
Mayor's
Caucus.
Caucus is David.
And Commonwealth Edison, effective what date, is gonna just jack up the distribution?
Well, that's
fee,
a
right?
whole other.
Well, I understand
right,
that,
right.
but you know, you don't get 30% off everything, you know, or whatever,
right.
10%.
There's the
It isn't
supply-
10% of your whole electric
It's
bill.
the supply
It
number.
just, yeah,
Yeah,
well,
and
then,
the transmission.
in all deference
right.
to, so that's going up, the distribution number,
Because of the smart grid.
and it's going up, I thought it was 20+% or
Yeah,
more.
I've seen some numbers. Now, that's a smaller part of your bill, luckily.
Okay.
I mean, it's not, I
But
don't
it's
have a
still-
bill right in front of me, but, yeah, it's a smaller amount of your bill.
Well, I mean,
But you're right.
Well, is it less than, is it
I
30%?
can't remember. I bet it's like in the 30s, maybe,
Okay,
something percent, but I'm not positive of that. I don't have it, like I said, in front of me.
okay, but
The
you know,
lion's share is the supply.
yeah, but you know, this electrical aggregate that we participate in doesn't take into account the distribution. That has no control
That is
over.
Commonwealth Edison.
Right,
Right.
so.
You still get Commonwealth, and you still deal with Commonwealth Edison if you have a power problem at home.
Right.
any of that type of thing. This
Yeah,
is
so,
just
you
the
know,
supplier.
it's like, you know, you got about maybe a 70% loaf to hopefully get a discount on.
Well,
If it is 70%
yeah, well,
of
right.
100%.
Right, but remember, the relative number is going up only because of that one number. And again, it's a spot market,
Right.
and and the consortium, we decided to go for a one-year number because, as you know, the farther you go out, the more conservative people are as far as guessing what the spot market will be in
Right.
the summer of 2014. So they're going to put a higher number on that. So we looked at going for we'll most likely go for a one-year number again.
Okay.
So,
All right, is that it, Mike?
yes,
All right.
thank you.
Finance Director Nakren, discussion of resolution 2013-037.
Resolution 2013-37 is on the consent agenda, but I just wanted to explain it a little bit. The origin of it is really when I did the pension funding resolution, which was Resolution 2012-104. I didn't recognize kind of the change in the funding history of the pension, and I'll explain that in a minute. And so really we're not changing how much we're contributing, but we're changing a little bit how we're going to do the contributions, what is being done with this resolution. And then we'll change it further next year to kind of correct my failure to forecast. Just to kind of give you a little history on how pension funds work. In the early years, there's not much investment income, so everything comes from the contributions. And later, and of course, during this whole period, the payouts are going up. As the fund gets more mature, the assets build, and more of the income for the fund comes from investment earnings rather than from contributions. And so there comes a point as the fund matures where the amount you pay out to, particularly to pensioners, exceeds the amount of the contributions. And in terms of village contributions, as a ratio of pension payouts, that change happened in FY 12-13. And I didn't recognize that when I did the resolution for the funding of the pension. The way we traditionally have done it is to pay pension payroll from the general fund as a prepayment on the contributions. And that works well for everybody because the general fund gets revenues on an ongoing basis, and the pension fund doesn't. So the pension fund can be fully invested and not really worry about cash flow. But the problem, as I say, is that this year the contributions aren't enough to pay out what the pension payouts are going to be. So what I'm asking in Resolution 2013-37 is that we prepay up to $160,000 of the 2013-14 contribution through basically advance funding that payroll, and then that'll deduct the amount we contribute next year. And next year, obviously, the pension fund is going to have to consider cash flow and pay a portion of
Okay,
it.
but
directly.
what we've budgeted is what,
It's,
$170,000?
this year, right,
to pay in.
$1,170,000, right.
Right.
When do we pay that in? Soon?
We've been paying that in every month through, every time we pay a pension payroll, we pay a piece of that.
Okay, and that's what, about $27,000 per sworn?
No, what we're actually doing, 27,000, and probably it's closer to like 29,000 right now.
Oh.
But that's how much, that's right, that's how you calculate that number. You're absolutely right.
So
But
okay, I'm sorry.
But what we're actually paying out every month is the pension payments to all the retirees. And so I mean, there's how much we should pay, which is the per officer, and how much we're paying out, and those are somewhat independent.
Well, what are
of
we
each other.
paying out a month?
We're paying out about $105,000 a month And we also pay out some vendor payments for the pension fund, which are traditionally very light. They're a little heavier now because we have some legal issues, disability hearings going on.
And how much do we have total in there? How many tens of millions? do
We
get?
have about 32 million in, about 33 million in assets in the pension fund, and we're paying out,
100
about
grand
what-
a month.
yeah, so we're paying
So
about
1.2?
Yeah, so we're still at a 25-to-1 ratio.
So that's good, right?
That's good.
Is that real good?
Well, it's enough that our actuary says we're 70% funded, and the state actuary says we're 81% funded.
So is that real good compared to a lot of towns?
It's a lot better than most every community. Obviously, if I had my druthers, we'd be 100% funded.
Yeah.
But that's a rarity.
But in
especially
essence, our
in
sworn
cities like
police
town.
officers are in excellent shape to get
Yes.
paid their
Yeah,
pension.
yeah.
What's Lake Forest right now?
They're in the mid-50s as far as funding level.
Yeah. So we're what, close to the top of the class?
Yeah, we're definitely in the,
We're better funded than the state of Illinois, right?
oh, we're probably
Social
about 3
Security,
times
so I mean,
better
you know.
funded than the state of Illinois, yeah.
Because we kind of budget for it and then fulfill our
Yeah,
obligation.
yes.
We don't steal the penny.
Okay. I don't, I mean, I kind of want to, so we could do this 160 anytime, right? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
could do it anytime this year. I'd like to see if we're all gonna get stiffed from the state on this, the per capita income tax.
Well,
Oh.
We don't have closure on that.
We don't have a
That is
choice here, though,
correct. Here's-
because they don't have cash flow,
Yeah.
and we're providing the cash flow.
Yeah.
So we need to do this.
So we can loan them 160?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No, we can't.
No, no.
You can't do that.
No, the
No, you can't.
160.
So you're saying we're not gonna make a payment to the
No.
sworns?
No, the 160 is an advance from the 2013-14 contribution.
I'm just referencing the resolution we sent to Quinn, saying, if you took the 11, what was it? How much was it? 1170, and it started at 18, and now it's 1170. It was $279,000, and that was gonna pay for the 3 new sworn officers. Was that a true statement that I signed
Yes,
the
yeah,
resolution to,
yeah.
Chief?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mayor, I think what Larry's, and correct me if I'm wrong, what you're talking about, though, is you don't want to get into using assets, which one could, to use a CD or whatever that assets to make those payments. So therefore, advancing against cash that would be,
Right.
unfortunately, earning not a lot of money.
Well, this will
because
probably be used as an example. Governor Quinn will probably say, oh, these guys just, they were talking out of the side of their mouth
No, this
on the amount that we were gonna fund for the 3 sworns.
is more of an accounting
Yeah.
I
issue.
understand this.
Well,
Yeah, I
then you,
do.
well,
I
then you're
do.
not,
I just,
then you're not
I-
stating
all right,
that
well.
at this juncture. This is strictly an
Yeah,
accounting
but
issue.
you don't loan the fund.
It's
160.
not,
It's not a
it's-
loan.
No, it's not a loan because you can't do that. Once you give it to them, we don't touch it.
It's coming out of the 1.3 million that we're going to give them next year, or 1.29 million. So we're giving it to them 30-some days early.
Right.
Okay,
All right.
early.
The-
not a
I mean,
problem.
the bottom line is that whatever is not funded by officers and their contribution or earned in investments has to be made up by the village. So that's, what our commitment is.
When I realized this was the case, I scrambled, and the pension fund has 16,000 not invested right now, so, in a money market. So, I mean, that's how fully invested it is. So, it would, unfortunately, I failed to predict this early enough to come up with I guess, what would you say, a more palatable solution. So, I guess I don't feel this is a detriment to the village. I feel like it's serving the village and the pension fund. All we're doing is advancing by some 30-some days what would have been the contribution we would have made.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No,
We're gonna vote on this.
right, a consent agenda,
Unless somebody wants to vote on it now.
right. Or I guess or pull it off consent agenda. I guess I didn't quite anticipate.
We'll
the
do it on the
controversy.
omnibus. All right.
Yeah. but-
Okay. All right, Larry, thanks. Okay. Any other speaking parts from staff? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda, items A through Q?
So move.
Second.
Motion second, comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustees Cook,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda.
Motion carries. Next item is unfinished business, approval of village board minutes of March 19th, 2013. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Schultz,
Abstain.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda, Cook.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, next item is approval and passage of resolution 2013-04, a resolution granting approval to operate an outdoor merchandise display and sales establishment for Michaels located at 701 North Milwaukee Avenue. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions? Mike Atkinson, is everything squared away from our discussion of 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, everything that was requested by the village board has been included in the resolution. In particular, that the approval is granted only for the period between April 1st and December 31st. If Michaels wants to display merchandise any time beyond this period, they would have to come back to the board for further review and consideration.
Okay,
I was not here for the discussion, and while I see that a compromise was reached, my vote will still reflect I'm not desirous of having any outdoor bins of merchandise in that mall.
okay. So we have a motion to approve and a second.
Yes.
Any further comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Schultz,
No.
Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda, Cook,
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, is there any new business or communication to come before the board? Trustee Cook.
Yeah, I just wanted, Dave, I'm going to have to pass another name on to you. This is starting to get to be a habit, which is a good one. We had another student win a state championship. Dylan Geik from Hawthorne North won the IESA state championship at 135 pounds in wrestling. So that'll be another one that I'll have the school forward the information to you. So I'd also like to see if we could maybe get him to come to maybe the next meeting in a couple weeks. If, I can give you the information to contact his coach and that. And you know, again, one of those good things that we do. So congratulations to Dylan on his state championship.
Yeah, well, and along those lines, we should get a couple of proclamations up, and the teams can come. For Stevenson, the boys, they took second in the state. They lost to Simeon, and the girls took second place for the second year in a row. We should, get
we gotta get
them
them
in here sooner than later before they all scatter, for
It's coming up.
the summer, so, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the board meeting and convene the committee of the whole?
So made.
Second.
No executive session?
Motion and a second, and there will be a closed session after committee of the whole. We will not come out and conduct any other business, right?
Correct, sir.
And we're gonna do what,
Regarding
personnel?
personnel and litigation.
Okay. All right, on the motion to adjourn, is there a roll call, please?
Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda, Cook,
Aye?
Markwart,
Aye?
Schultz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item, approval of committee of the whole minutes on March 19th, 2013. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustees Williams,
Aye.
Hebda, Cook,
Aye?
Markwart,
Aye?
Schultz,
Abstain.
Schwartz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Where is it?
The fourth.
Oh, yeah, okay. Request from the Vernon Hills Police Department to operate an outdoor special event at Westfield Hawthorne Mall, 122 Hawthorne Center, and who's the sworns that are gonna present? Yeah, you wanna all state your name for the record here?
Sure, I'm Dan Mead.
I'm Terry Bass.
Santos Rodriguez.
Okay.
Mayor Board, we're here tonight to discuss the idea of having a car show in the village of Vernon Hills. Myself and Officer Rodriguez just started to discuss this last fall. We saw the success that Mundelein and Libertyville has with the car shows that they put on. And we thought, what a great idea to have something like that here in Vernon Hills. When we talked about where we could have something like this, the only place we could think of was the mall. They have very large parking lots, and we thought the lower level parking lot of Sears by Route 21, that's usually not used for anything, would be a perfect spot. The car show that we're talking about here is something that will be a family-style event that kids are welcome to. We want to make it a lot of fun. A lot of car shows say discriminate against new cars, motorcycles, and everything. We want to make it for everybody. So if a 17-year-old kid has an import car, he can come and show his car and be proud of that. If someone has a motorcycle they're proud of, they can bring that too. It's just not for old cars. We want to make it available for everybody. The more people, the better. And we thought this would be a great way to bring consumers here to the village and showcase the mall. I know a lot of times people, they don't want to look at the cars. Well, maybe the kids and the wife go inside to the mall and shop or have dinner while, you know, the other person's showing the car. So we approached the mall and Sears with our idea, and they were all very happy to hear that. They want to be a part of that. We brought Terry Bass here. He's from Sears. Sears decided to sponsor it, so there's no cost to the village. There's going to be no entrance fees, and this is something that if we could bring a lot of people together, why not make it a charitable event? So with the flyers that we made up, we decided the very first one on May 20th that we would do a coat drive for the vets, and then the other three do canned foods. We can people that bring their cards can bring canned foods, and we donate them to the food pantry. And then the very last one in September, we would again do coats for vets since winter's coming. Terry Bass is here from Sears. He'd like to say a few words.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just going to bring a big attraction to the mall, and we're going to have a lot of cars. We expect maybe possible 200 cars that's going to be out there. We're going to offer goodie bags, and also I'm looking for vendor support from some of our target vendors like Goodyear to help with goodie bags and probably sponsor staffing, equipment, and everything for us. And we also entertain the possibility of a DJ too as well.
So where are you going to encourage people to park to go to the show, right? Will you be able to park there also? or-
Yes, the lot is huge.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it can accommodate a
But
lot.
I mean, where the interior ring road will be, are you gonna like kind of cordon that off? Or are you
Yes.
just gonna have you guys helping people across the street and all that?
We're gonna
the police-
partition it off. We have cones, and we're gonna have some volunteers direct the cars where they're gonna go. And in the part that we designate over there, can
Yeah.
you have a second here? Let me give you this one right here. This outer part here is where you're gonna have the cars right outside there. And so this is where the people can park, the visitors can park right here. And then this is where we accommodate our customers right on that side over here.
Okay.
Cool.
I know it's kind of small, so.
Yeah, well, I know, you know,
Down, okay.
all kinds of ring roads there, you know.
Right, it's plenty of parking and lots of room to move around for it.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'm sure between Public Works and the police will figure out the safety of
Okay.
the visitors to the site, so. Okay, trustee Cook?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, it's always nice to see all the things you guys are doing as a department, and my compliments to Chief right on down to all the other guys. I mean, just did the St. Baldrick's thing, and you guys also do a lot for the vets and have done a lot for vets over the years, and it's really nice to see our department so involved in the community and so involved in charitable events and that kind of stuff. So my compliments to all the guys involved in it.
We don't have to shave our heads again, do we?
Absolutely not.
In a year.
Well, not right now, but maybe next year.
And no, I know
We
you don't
might
want
be
my,
due by about mid-July.
and I know you don't want me bringing over my 2004 Freestar van. That's not it's not a classic.
Yeah.
I think the only vehicle that's been excluded is Ford Mavericks.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, yeah. All right,
You own one?
so we got the motion,
So moved.
Second.
motion and a second, roll call.
Trustees Hebda, Cook,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay,
Thank you, thank you.
Great event, guys.
See you
Good
in
thoughts.
the,
Good thoughts.
see you in the spring,
Yes.
It is.
whenever that happens, you know. All right. Okay, next item is Aspen, Pointe, Townhomes, consideration of changes by Jacobs Homes to the approved building elevations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The board will recall that in 2009, changes were approved to 35 remaining units within this development. They were mostly located in the northwest portion of the residential development, and they're shown in blue on the site plan that's attached to your packet. The changes, I would guess by now we've all seen them. It replaced certain brick with hardy plank, stone at the base was also replaced with brick, and those units are either constructed or substantially constructed at this point. There was one remaining building that was not included in that change, and that building is adjacent to Aspen Drive, and it's shown in orange, again on the site plan attached to your packet. The material changes for this building would be the same as what was approved by the village board back in 2009. So for tonight's meeting, if the committee feels that these changes are minor and still support the overall intent of the PUD, which was the findings of the board back in 2009, then it would be appropriate to direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving the changes. If the board thinks otherwise, then it would be appropriate to direct this request back to the Planning and Zoning Commission and to reopen the public hearing. Staff's recommendation is that these changes do support the overall intent of the PUD, and we would recommend that it be approved here at the board level. So if the committee agrees, then we're recommending that staff be directed to prepare an ordinance amending Ordinance 2007-05 as amended by 2009-042 to allow the proposed amendments as set forth on the drawings attached to your packet. And if you have-
Trustee Cook?
So there are no changes from no additional changes from what was approved with the buildings that are in blue on the drawing you gave us?
That's correct. This is before you tonight simply because it wasn't included as part of the approval in '09.
Okay.
So it necessitated that they come back to you.
But that's why, as I was looking through, I didn't see any additional changes or that. It's the same as what was already approved.
That's correct. It's exactly the same.
Thank you.
Trustee Schultz?
Yeah, basically, I guess the horse is out of the barn here, but The hardy plank, a darker shade probably would have been more appropriate. Because I've seen the construction that's taken place, and it's fine. I don't have any problem with the materials or the style. It's just that a darker shade probably would have been more appropriate to match the original construction. And I guess I really am not saying that I want to introduce another color here, because that would just add more confusion. And so, but I guess for future reference, we need to make sure that if we're going to do something like this, that we kind of get a bigger color palette to work with or something, because it really did come out a little bit too light in comparison to the original construction.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve the request?
Subject to what Mike said.
Yes, subject to Mike Atkinson's comments.
So made.
Second.
Oh, second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustees Cook,
Aye?
Markwart,
Aye?
Schultz,
Because I'm not completely in favor of it, I vote present.
Okay.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ebda.
Motion carries. Okay. These are the last, you want to come up here? State your name for the record.
Keith Jacobs, I'm president of the Jacobs Companies.
How many units are left now?
5.
Is that what this will
That's what that
affect?
building is,
Okay.
5. It's just 5 units.
And this process started how many years ago now?
8.
8, only
So say
8,
it's
huh?
been a while.
We're supposed to be 2.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
Well,
That's
you
what
know,
we told.
yeah, the
Just,
economy's
yeah, how that
great,
works.
you know? Yeah, all right,
Exactly.
okay,
Good, thank you.
yeah. Motion
Thanks.
carries. Next item is,
I don't know, I can't.
consideration of outdoor advertising signs and banners
The banners.
for the French Market located in the Metro parking lot. So this is gonna happen this year?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it'll start on June 1st and it'll go to the end of October. As everyone knows, it'll be located in the Metro parking lot.
And this is what, on the weekends?
Yeah, it's scheduled for every Saturday and it'll be from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah, all right.
every Saturday. And for tonight's meeting, what we're trying to do to support the advertising for the event is we work with a local sign company to come up with some sign packages. And we've included the sign concept drawings in your packet so you can see what the designs look like. And the signs include, first of all, the primary sign on Route 45, which is a V-shaped sign. It's designed to be removable. It would be placed on Wednesday afternoon and then removed Saturday at the conclusion of the market. There would also be 4 banner signs that we have before you for review. And then finally, there would be a sandwich board sign that we would locate adjacent to the platform of the metro station.
It's going from May.
So for
34th.
tonight's meeting, really what we're looking for is feedback from the board before we go any farther with this thing.
Parking lot.
We have the 2 designs, and we'd like to get feedback from you on each design. And then also, you'll see the price of each sign package. Sign number 1 is about $6,100. Sign number 2 is about $6,600. So we'd like to get some feedback from you on the cost of these sign packages as well. So with that, I'll open it up for questions and comments.
Trustee Schultz?
The village colors are blue, so how come we don't have a blue one?
Actually, it's red.
Excuse me?
Is
The
it?
official color is red.
How come everything that we do is printed blue?
Well, you notice our
well-
signs, though, our entry, our gateway signs are
Wait,
red.
Barb's got a coder, it's green.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Look.
everything we
let's
print
put it
is
this way,
blue.
It's one of the primary colors, right,
There you
Dave?
go. But if
Okay,
given
you
the
just want-
choice
There's not a
between,
red mark on that
We
flag.
could consider blue. That's the
I
kind of
know,
feedback
but-
we're looking for.
yeah,
I remember reading it somewhere, and that is why our entry monument signs are red.
are they?
Yeah,
I-
Well,
I'm
yeah, I
serious.
know
I
that
mean, I didn't
before.
pick the red.
But I
And
thought
I've been
the
sitting
red
up here
went
for
with
a
the
long
stone.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, but,
I know the street signs are red, but I have never heard that the village color are red.
right.
And
Because
I've been
everything
sitting
we
here a long
print-
time.
and everything else has always been blue.
Right.
Yeah, those
Exactly.
signs, but that, I thought the red was to
Even
go
our
with the
recycle
stone,
bins are blue.
the earth
No.
tone.
They
Uh,
are.
I don't know the history of
That's kind of a
but-
stretch.
Well, I was gonna say
No,
I'm
it's
half
not.
Irish, so I'll go with the green. But on the other hand, if red is our color, then I'll go red.
Well, it just takes,
I don't have a problem with them being green
Yeah,
for this.
what's a market?
Yeah.
in keeping with the market thing.
Yeah.
We don't want our fields to be red, we want them to be green.
Well, okay, but more importantly, what kind of signage do we want up here?
I think what they've proposed is fine,
well, there's,
Well, they got
the sandwich
two.
sign or V sign, and then the banners.
I like the
And we've
tall one.
used
It
the
looks like
banners
corn.
before at the Arbor Theater on event days.
The tall one looks
I
like
was just
corn.
gonna ask, October, Fall Fest, Oktoberfest is what, in September?
Right, we're gonna do it the last Saturday of September.
So is the
Oktoberfest?
market gonna be, huh? Is the market gonna be in session that
Yes.
day?
We have talked, Dave and I and Mike and Leslie Cahill from the French Market talked about, and they can do pop-up tents that day and reconnoiter, so to speak, their arrangement for that
Yeah,
day.
it's in the big lot anyway?
Correct, the newer lot,
I mean, for
south
both.
lot. Yeah,
The,
right.
the east lot.
let Dave answer,
Whatever.
because they have the
Yeah.
big tent, but.
So we're able to arrange that and make it work.
The older lot will be under construction this year. Oktoberfest will be in its same location. And we've set up anchors and are continuing to add additional anchors in the ground for them to add the tents that will be immediately south and east of the Oktoberfest. During the event for Oktoberfest, they'll just bring their own tents, and it'll be a nice synergy between the two different events.
Yeah.
So
Well, this one will be over when the other one starts at 3.
Time-wise, yes.
yeah, so we think it'll work out well.
Okay.
Come for one and stay for the other.
Trustee
you go.
Cook?
Probably the green one.
The banner signs, those ones that are like the vertical flags,
Yeah.
are those gonna be out there just on the days of the events?
They could be. We were considering putting them up with the sign on Wednesday afternoon, but then that would be Wednesday,
Well-
Thursday,
well,
Friday. So we
my-
could put them up on just
Yeah,
a Saturday.
my
though.
concern is
Warm up all the time.
the length of time these would be up there is not something we would let another
No,
business
I
in
don't
town
think it
do.
should be up all the time.
And I don't like necessarily letting us do something that we wouldn't let other, I mean, I did the same thing with Frosty years ago, but, if we put them up the day of the event, I don't have a problem with it, because we would do that for a
Or the
business.
night
Cook,
before
what would
the
you
event.
think of Friday afternoon?
I was gonna say Friday
Yeah,
afternoon, that way you know
Because
it's
Public
coming.
Works, the idea would be we
Yeah.
put them up on Friday afternoon, we'd
I mean, I
have them
understand it's
there
extra work, but
overnight, and
I
you get the benefit of the
Oh,
commuters coming home.
I'm fine with what you're proposing, actually, as far as Public Works time going out there and doing things. Our plan is that we are going out there Friday anyway to set it up for the next morning, so then we're not using overtime. So
Okay.
Friday, we'll be setting these things up anyway. We have someone take them down on Saturday, so we'll be out there.
Then
That's fine.
I can live with that.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Great idea.
Okay. No, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
If I may, to clarify, were we choosing the red sign or the green sign?
Oh, yeah.
The one thing about the green sign, if I could advocate for that, it would be easier to use the sign face for something else, because it's rectangular.
That's
The
true.
other one has the flourishes on it. The green one would be, green, as I think somebody alluded to, connotes freshness and all
Yeah.
that good
Like
stuff.
corn.
And it's a nice rectangle, so we could put up something over it if we wanted to advertise the light show in the winter or something.
Well,
Put a
let me
face-
clarify something too. This isn't just food that they're selling.
Exactly.
Well, primarily, it's probably not food.
People understand
Well,
that?
it's a bit, no, they probably don't until they get to it. It's not a farmer's market.
Is there anything in there that, well, what are they selling any food products?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But a lot of it is bakery and things like that. It's not strictly a farmer's market, like you go there and there's cantaloupe and carrots and broccoli and things like that. That could be there, but it's also cooked foods, cheeses, different things like that, bakery, coffee. Like Leslie, the person who operates it, says it's different in the sense she finds farmers markets, you go there, you get your items, put them in bags, and you take off. You might run into somebody you know, say hi, how you doing, and leave. This is more you hang around. So definitely you want bakery, you want coffee, something to drink. But they also have some things like
Like they have
jewelry.
tables and chairs and such?
We'll have some of that out there. We'll have to, we'll learn by, experience. Because a lot of these are in like small downtown areas, so there are places to sit and go already. Out there, we might, put some picnic benches out there and
Go to the
that
train
type
station.
of thing. Yeah, right.
Sit on a bench.
So, well, it'll be a learning experience for both of us.
Well, the first
Yeah, the
Saturday,
green
I'll let
sign
you
is
know what
fine.
you need.
I think you've gotten
Green
green
sign's
for,
good.
Jim said green.
Oh, green is, yeah, I mean,
I don't have a problem with the green, it's fine.
Green is fine.
Okay, I think I'm hearing green.
Green.
It's fine.
So we don't need an official
Yeah, do you want-
motion at this time.
Which
We just
sign?
wanted to get input before we went any
you're gonna
further.
bring it back to
And
board.
then we'll bring it back for,
Yeah, if we have time, well, the timing. Let's,
yeah,
I'm
well,
sorry,
what,
figure,
what I'm trying to get is direction to go ahead and move forward with the sign contractor to start having the signs made so that they're done in time for
well,
June
we'll
1st.
fabricate the green one, right? Everyone's agreed.
Yep.
And then the banners, and as trustee Cook mentioned, the way we set them out, we'll do the folding sign several days ahead of time, the banners the night
group
before.
that's running this are paying for the signs, right?
No,
Why?
not totally. Well, because they would do, and I'm glad you asked that, they would do far less expensive signs than this. They would do, as some of you know very well, how much real estate signs cost, since you've had recent experience with that, I'm sure. But they would do signs probably like that, or some maybe a little bit more elaborate,
You know,
like a
I've seen them.
plywood sign or
I've seen them
something.
in other communities where they do this, and it looks more like a real estate sign, like.
Yeah.
And
So, okay, so,
They're willing
okay,
to
the
spend-
intent here is then with a more permanent sign, to what, put up different advertisements at different times of the year? I
Well,
mean,
the
of
sign-
events going on, or?
Well, we could.
It could, yeah, the sign's made of aluminum, and then there's, the graphics are vinyl that are stretched over it. We could put something over the vinyl, we could replace the vinyl with something different, so we would think, we do anticipate it would have multiple uses.
Well, I mean, after October 31st,
We probably would leave it down and maybe use it for the light show or tree lighting, this weekend, that type of thing. We'd have to fabricate some kind of sign that went over it, that kind of thing. So we'd have a few uses for it. If the French market doesn't continue, if we have 1 or 2 or 3 years and it just doesn't work out, then we'd use it probably for summer celebration. We use it for all the events the village does. And we'd fabricate something
Yeah.
to put over
Yeah.
that aluminum housing.
and what's the total dollar output here?
Well-
For the green one is,
$20.
for the banners, the sign on 45 and the sandwich board sign, the total is $6,100.
And the other one's 5,900.
I may have someone that can make them cheaper.
And the other
And
one's
they have committed to $1,500.
so far. We're
French
still
market
talking.
so far. We haven't.
So our sign package is 11 grand?
No, our
No,
sign,
that's the two of them. It's only one of those.
Ours-
He
yeah,
gave you
$1,920 is on the green, and the
our,
red was
Yeah,
6,200.
since you're going with the green, it's just 6110.
which would be
right, Mike?
40,
So we
which
get
would be
clear.
For the
$4610.
permanent sign and then the banner?
And the banners and the sandwich board sign.
Market's putting in
Okay.
1,500.
Is everybody clear on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
A
All
lot
right.
of money.
Okay, you're bringing that back for board. All right, consolidation of intergovernmental agreements with Lincolnshire Riverwoods for dispatch services.
Mr. President, this one here is a long time in coming. As you know, we've been discussing the possibility of bringing in other agencies into our dispatch center for several years. And what we're looking for tonight, we're finally at the point where we're ready to tender an offer to the villages of Lincolnshire and Riverwoods. And what we're here tonight to do is explain what we're actually talking about in terms of dollars and cents, and looking for the board's approval to tender to them an intergovernmental agreement or the offer to enter into a contract with us to provide dispatching services for these two communities. When we first began discussions with the village of Lincolnshire especially, which was probably almost 2 years ago, one of our staff conducted a very thorough study to determine what other communities paid for their services, for dispatching services, or what they charged if they were providing the services for another community. And what we learned is there's really no magic bullet. There's no magic formula out there. It just, I'm not sure how they did it. Some did it by population. Some did it by calls for service. Exactly, good old Kentucky windage. And some of them did it by the number of police officers, calculating how many radio transmissions they would generate. So what we did is we came up, we got the base numbers from all these communities, and there's probably 12 or 15 communities we surveyed. And we came up with a hybrid formula that takes into account kind of like an average of all these factors. And based on this approach, we're recommending that the village board approve us to tender an offer to the village of Lincolnshire, a 5-year agreement with an annual fee of $272,320 for year 1. This number would increase by 3% a year for years 2 through 5, which makes our agreement identical to what we entered into with the village of Libertyville in terms of the cost escalator. In addition, we would be requesting Lincolnshire pay a one-time capital expenditure to the village in the amount of $43,000. This one-time capital expenditure covers equipment that was already purchased, or that we have already purchased when we were anticipating taking on new partners. And it also includes some new expenses directly associated with getting them connected to our records management system. And for Riverwoods, Riverwoods is really rather straightforward by comparison. Currently, Riverwoods contracts for the dispatching services with the village of Lincolnshire. So obviously, if Lincolnshire is coming over with us, Riverwoods needs to find a new home as well. And in our early discussions with them, I told them that we would be willing to entertain the idea of keeping the contract the same. Whatever arrangements they had made with Lincolnshire, we would honor that as well. And that turns out to be the cost of one full-time telecommunicator, including salaries and benefits. That amount would be $96,432 for the first year, and then this number would increase by the actual cost, whatever it is, for full-time telecommunicators for years 2 through 5. In addition, we would be requesting that the village of Riverwoods pay a one-time capital expenditure fee to the village in the amount of $24,000. And again, this one-time expenditure would cover equipment that was already purchased anticipating their arrival, and it would also cover some new expenses directly associated with bringing Riverwoods online with our CAD system. In terms of additional expenses, because I'm sure that's what everyone wants to know too, we've seen the pluses, what's the minuses. As has been discussed and approved as part of the 2013-14 budget process, if both of these join, let me start over please. If both of these communities join our dispatch center, we would need to hire one additional full-time telecommunicator to handle the additional workload. And obviously, it's easy to equate the cost of this new telecommunicator would be paid by the fees that are being paid for by Riverwoods. And that's the only additional expense, and that already has been added into the 13-14 budget per our discussions already. So what we are seeking, first of all, any questions? And number two, would be seeking a motion to tender these offers to each of these respective communities as we've outlined.
All right. Are there any comments or questions from the board?
Motion to,
Is there a motion to
Sign 'em.
approve?
so moved.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I did already. We leaned
They
a
sell
second.
something.
From the diaphragm.
Okay, motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
No, it's just been a lot of hard work and long time coming, and good job.
This has been a vision that's been out there for 10 years or more, as Mike knows. We've been working
Well,
on this
yeah,
for a long
you know,
time.
and I think, the Great Recession probably helped push it across the finish line too.
I'm sure it
You
did.
know, which is, is a good thing,
But it's also a recognition of the quality of service that we provide in town for our own people, that other
Right.
people want to become part of.
Can I ask you a question? And this is germane to our ability to call everybody in town in the event of an emergency. Will this have is there any way that these other towns would want to participate in that?
In which one?
Well,
The
okay, it's
next
a tornado in
July,
the middle of the night,
Oh,
we can call
you know-
everybody in 10 minutes.
You know what, we've actually taken that all into account. We will be activating, as we do now, we activate the emergency warning sirens for the village of Libertyville when ours are activated.
Yeah.
And we'll also be doing the same for the villages of Riverwoods and Lincolnshire. We've already,
Yeah,
we've already come under that understanding that if one gets activated, they're all going to get activated. It's not going to be where Mundelein sets off the sirens, we don't, Lincolnshire does, Libertyville does, and then that generates a lot of confusion for the public. And the other thing is, I believe Libertyville already is in Connect CTY, and I'm not sure where the other ones are at. I think they're using something similar to that, but we're trying to work with them to try to consolidate all those under one, so yes.
when you say CTI, what is that?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's either Blackboard Connect, Connect
Right,
CTY,
Blackboard.
Reverse 911, where we can enter a recorded message, and it calls everyone in the community in, as you put it, less than 10 minutes.
Right, well, that's the emergency, we get the call every first Tuesday,
Correct, every other first Tuesday.
every other. But I'm just questioning, is there a way to incorporate that for these other towns?
Yes, and we are working on that as we speak.
Well, that's pretty damn important. I mean, besides.
No, it is.
Dispatch is really
No.
important, especially if you're having a grab.
This takes into, we call it dispatching services, but there's an awful lot more that goes into this than just dispatching. It's the mobile communications, the mobile report writing, the records management system. We're centralizing all of those functions, and it's going to save us money and the other communities money as well.
And just to be, a liability type person, who has the brunt of the liability associated with any action would arise out of a quote-unquote mishandled dispatch call?
All the communities are indemnifying themselves for that, and then we have them sign, as part of the intergovernmental, I may not have said that right, but there's an agreement that's signed that was drafted by Bob Kenny, and everyone has responsibility for their own actions, and we are, I'm going to use the wrong words.
Is it a hold
We're not
harmless type
responsible.
indemnification
Yes.
agreement?
Yes,
That's what he's trying to say.
it's a hold harmless
Okay,
agreement, thank you.
so, but this has all been discussed with our carrier, the Illinois Municipal League?
I think.
Can we say that with a reasonable degree of certainty?
Yes, we ran this by them quite a long time ago.
With the village
for
of
the original
Libertyville.
agreement with Countryside.
Yes,
or even
right,
Pointe.
you're right, you're right.
Was this correctly endorsed onto our policy? An actual physical endorsement?
I don't know.
Well, you better turn Peggy loose.
Right, but I don't think as you know, we don't have a policy such as an insurance policy.
Well, we have a
In the same-
manuscripted policy form/contract.
I will
Okay, so I would make darn sure
We'll
that that's on there.
We'll check.
Oh.
Larry's
Not that
noting it
we're
right now.
litigious or anything.
We live in the
This is
state
a
of Illinois.
non-litigious society, But we better cover that one, to make
Right,
sure
no,
it's
we'll-
properly endorsed. And then I'd also recommend everybody share those endorsements, because not everybody's in the IML.
That is correct.
I don't know if I'm right or wrong.
No, I'm almost
Not
sure you're
everybody's-
correct. one or two of those. Libertyville's in Irma, the
Okay.
Intergovernmental Risk
Yeah.
Management
And then so
Agency.
Riverwoods, Lincolnshire, I don't know what they're.
I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But when when this is tendered, for God forbid, let's make sure everybody's, covered,
Yes, sir.
as opposed to
Scrambling
concerns
later,
about other things that have happened in the past.
so we're not scrambling later.
Right. Okay, what do you need on this one, chief? Just approval, right?
Just approval to author.
Recommending to the board for final approval.
Yeah, and once we tender this to, we're just asking for your approval to tender this offer to the respective communities. If those are accepted, then the entire intergovernmental agreement will come back for you for final approval and signature.
So we did that. We just gotta have a roll call. Roll call.
Yeah, this includes Tony, yeah.
Right. Tony's going, no, it doesn't.
Just police right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So is there a motion
There was,
and a second?
yes.
It is.
And a roll call?
No.
That's all
No.
we need.
We
Let's
didn't
have
do
a roll call then.
Trustee Schultz,
Aye.
Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Markwart.
Aye.
But for the record, I'd vote aye. Motion carries.
Thank you
All right.
for all the work you've put in on this, chief. I think it's a good thing. Very good.
It's aged you, I can tell.
Yes.
Okay,
Agenda.
is there a motion to adjourn, go into closed session, discuss is it litigation or potential litigation?
No, it's
Personnel.
potential litigation and personnel.
Okay. Is there a
Motion
motion
to
and a
adjourn.
second?
I motioned it. I need a second.
Second.
I'm
Roll
busy.
call, please.
Trustee Schwartz,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Markwart,
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you and good night.